My name is Jaime Burnet, and I wrote the book Crocuses Hatch from Snow, which has been nominated for the Thomas Raddall Atlantic Fiction Award. It's about queer love, death and loss, systemic racism, gentrification, and white privilege in Nova Scotia. And I'm going to read to you from chapter 34. In an attempt to make the house feel less empty when she comes home late, Ada flips on the television. She needs to hear voices talking. Being in a house with someone who is never awake is maybe worse than being completely alone. The last person to turn on the TV was probably Maddie. She watches awful soap operas. Ada flips through channels, searching for a soothing voice. It seems like it might be a difficult thing to find. Everyone is so excited to sell her something. She clicks and stops on a channel where the colors look worn, an old documentary. The jovial narrator is telling the story of the last pearl fisherman in Scotland. It sounds romantic. The last pearl fisherman pushes off the riverbank with one foot in a flat boat made from reeds, like a big matchbox, and lies on his belly, leaning his body over the front. He breaks through the skin of the water with a metal pail and puts his head inside. The narrator explains that the pail has a glass bottom so the fisherman can search the riverbed for mussels. His head dips below the water's surface without getting wet, and it sounds like a minor miracle if you just say it like that and don't explain the logistics. And there, look, he's found one. He pulls the boat up to the bank and steps out, the narrator explains, in case he should slip and fumble the pearl into the river. And also probably, Ada thinks, so the cameraman can get a better shot. The fisherman takes a knife from his pocket, slides it between the mussel's mossy lips and twists, cracking the hinge and wrenching the shell open. He pushes his fingers through fishy flesh, and there it is, a pearl. He holds it up and smiles, sun-worn skin crinkling like rippling water that spreads out from his grin. The phone rings, and as Ada hoped, always hopes, it's Pan. "Hey, Ada," she says softly. "What are you up to?" Her gentle voice is a balm on Ada's buzzing brain. She's been trying to make up for the last 20-some years with a few short weeks of reading and research. Strategic Googling. "What's white privilege?" she asked of the internet. How had she missed that one? She supposed that was the true mark of it, not even knowing you have it. "Explain systemic oppression," she demanded, and am I the worst? She's been trying to make up for history by learning it and quickly discovering that that's the point. You can't. She moves these heavy thoughts to the back of her mind so she can tell Pan about the last pearl fisherman in Scotland in shell-cracking detail. Pan loves it. She loves it so much that the way she talks back to Ada about how amazing it is makes Ada feel like she herself was only pretending to love it. Like she doesn't understand it well enough to love it like Pan does. It makes her feel so young. "You should come over," Pan says. Ada's heart floats up from the riverbed where it's been burrowed. "Thank you," she almost says out loud. She heads to her room to pack her bag, writes her mother a note and leaves it by the stove, slips on her shoes, and heads out the door. This walk to Pan's house. She knows it so well. "Do you even know where I live?" she wonders to Pan. She's told her before, but she's not sure it registered. She's asked Pan over, explained how her mother is really more like a roommate than a parent, so it wouldn't be weird. But Pan always shakes her head, like Ada's silly to suggest it. "Nah, man," she'll say. "I think that'd be a little too real for me." Fine. Ada opens Pan's unlocked door and shuffles up the stairs, suspended somewhere between self-conscious guilt at her political failings and an adolescent desire to pout, as Pan calls all the shots, writes all the rules of whatever sort of relationship this is, if Ada's allowed to call it that. She drags herself into the kitchen and lets her bag slump to the floor. That art she used to love so much on the table under Pan's careful hand. Pan's so focused on it that she doesn't even look up from the square of lino to say hello. And now Ada's jealous of it, that art. She wishes Pan would cut her with such care. Ada wants Pan to bend over her for hours, pursing and pressing her lips, looking at her like she has such potential, touching her like she knows how to bring it out. But if Pan cuts her into art, how will Ada ever be her own? She sits down in the chair beside Pan. Hi, Pan looks over with a gentle smile. It's good to see you. Oh God, that mouth, those beautiful teeth. Pan leans in, and how could Ada not kiss her? I'll make you some coffee, Pan says. Ada watches Pan boil the water and grind the beans. She wants to tell Pan that she's been reading, been trying to fix her fucked up framework, trying to be better. Wants to ask Pan if she told her partner about her split heart. Is half of it still for Ada? She'll take half over nothing. She stares at the back of Pan's neck and her hands as they stir soy milk into a mug, fingers threaded through with steam. Pan sets the mug on the table in front of her, and all Ada can manage to say is thank you. Pan settles back down in her chair and picks up the blade, and Ada fishes in her bag for a book she's been wading through. She tries to finish the page she left off on, but keeps having to start at the beginning again. Halfway through, she wanders off again to the sounds of Pan's precise slicing. You grab me by the shoulders, push me up against the wall, biting at my skin, holding your blade between the fingers of the hand that grasps the back of my neck, pulling it to the side so your teeth can get at my flesh. Your hand appears in front of my face and I see a metallic glint like you just performed a cheap magic trick, pulled a coin from behind my ear. You draw the sharp silver down the front of my shirt and peel the cut fabric off me, laying me out on the table. Now I'm your canvas, a blank surface of skin whispering potential. You look at me intently, almost like you're intimidated by the task, but you bring your hand down and draw your blade across my chest in stinging strokes. And then she starts at the beginning of the page again, trying, this time, to pay attention. It's hard to find a book that competes with her imagination. When Pan's ready to go to bed, Ada lies down inside the curve of her body. Pan slides her hand around Ada's soft belly and pulls her close. You can blow out the candle, she says. Ada leans up on her elbow. She hates blowing out candles. It's so sad. She usually falls asleep with them burning, and Joan will creak into her room and snuff them out. Ada blows too gently at first, like she's lulling the fire to sleep. But it doesn't work. She has to kill it quickly, so she puffs it out with a decisive breath. The wick of this one has burned down low, and the ember glows through the golden wax. Ada closes her eyes before it goes dark and imagines it flickering through the night. Thanks for listening.